It's time for a quick time update of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners meeting. We're talking about the May 4th meeting. With me is County Manager Larry Werner. Welcome, Larry.
Thanks, Lloyd.
And at that meeting, Commissioners confirmed the appointment of Vicki Moore as Douglas County's Comptroller at the annual salary of $87,380.80, and that is the minimum salary range for that position. I wonder if you could go in maybe a little background on how Vicki...
Sure. Actually, I was pretty pleased in this, and this item created some confusion amongst folks about why it was in front of the board, but essentially I appointed Vicki through a process that was fairly intense, that we went through and had a committee review all the applications. There were 20 applicants for this position, both internal and external. We appointed a committee that consisted of the Town of Genoa town manager, the comptroller from Lyon County, a member from the district attorney's office, a member from our HR department. Asked them to review all of the applications and to pick 6 that they felt worthy of moving to the next step, which would have been their interviews. And after that, to send me 2. And Vicki rose to the top, which I was very pleased with. And there was one other candidate that was from the outside, and I did talk to both of them. And after having had those interviews, felt that Vicki was the most appropriate for our financial officer. Part of the law, though, that states, in Nevada states, though, that if we have the chief financial officer act as the comptroller, then that has to be confirmed by the Board of County Commissioners. And that's what brought this item before the board in the first place. So there's a little confusion also about whether or not this position also is the assistant county manager, and that's not the case here. We separated those 2 positions a couple months ago, so we could actually have a CFO, and then we could also have an assistant county manager. And so there seemed to be some blending of that with the folks in the community. And I think the concern was that if we're actually doing an assistant county manager, then maybe the process should have been more open and public, which I agree with, but
Sure.
Not in this particular case. So.
Yeah, it doesn't always follow that the chief financial officer will become the county manager or even get that title. But it just so happens in Douglas County, it has happened quite a few times over the years.
It has, yes. And then previously, Christine Volatek was the chief financial officer, comptroller, assistant county manager. It was all rolled into one title.
Yeah.
So I think there was concerns that this was going to be the same case there, and it's not. We're separating that out. When we do the assistant county manager position, it'll be advertised both internally and externally. There will be probably some public interview panels and that sort of thing. We'll sort out that more as we get into it, but that process should start, assuming that the budget gets adopted on May 15th.
Right.
That'll give you the green light to go ahead and start that process.
So really in June, you could start looking for
effectively, right,
assistant county manager.
Yes, with the idea that probably we'd complete the process somewhere mid-July, with hopefully somebody could come on fairly soon after that. But yeah, it'll take us a while. But yeah. There will be a much more transparent policy or process for that position than there was for this one.
Okay. Commissioners also gave direction to staff on the fiscal year 2017-2018 budget for Douglas County and the Douglas County Redevelopment Agency funds.
Right. This was the kind of the semifinal step to getting the budget adopted, which we have to do on May 15th. It was to take what we had identified as funds that had not been spent in previous budgets. We aggregated those into an amount that we then asked the Board of County Commissioners to prioritize what they wanted to see with that. And it kind of flowed from the operating budget into the capital plan, because a lot of those would be what we call one-time monies. They're not ongoing, so it cannot really be used for supporting staff or ongoing programs like that, but can be used for fixing buildings and building roadways and that sort of thing. So we had them prioritize that on the 4th, that we then, like I said, we'll take those dollars that they prioritized, put it into the capital plan, so when we adopt the budgets on the 15th, then starting July 1st, we can begin to do some building improvements and repairs and that sort of thing.
Sure.
But right at this point, everything is pretty well set.
Okay, so we're getting close on the budget.
Yes.
Okay, Commissioners also provided staff with direction on some final changes on the capital improvement plan for Douglas County. This is for 2018 through 2022.
Right. In this case, in the capital improvement program, we do a 5-year lookout every year, and we identify the needs that are within the county, be it roads, buildings, what have you. And they kind of stay in the plan stage until we can actually identify funding, and then we move them into the budgeted stage for the upcoming year. And that's essentially what we did on the 4th, is kind of identify what should go into the plan stage versus, or the budgeted stage versus the plan stage. And then on the 15th, again, that will be adopted as well. And then it'll give us our capital plan that we can start working toward.
Very good. Also, Commissioners approved on a second reading an ordinance to prohibit marijuana establishments here in Douglas County. Now, we've talked about this one before, and is that pretty much the final?
It is at this time, right. Assuming there aren't any changes again at the legislature, there are a lot of bills that are being proposed. We don't see that any of those would impact what we're doing here, but essentially what we're saying is that we'll comply with state law, which says that the private use of marijuana within your own residence, that sort of thing, is still legal. We're not messing with that. But there was not an interest to establish marijuana establishments or to have retail sales or even medicinal marijuana sales, that sort of thing, that's consistent with what we did there. And kind of said, we'll just leave that to our surrounding neighbors and let them do it there.
Okay. Well, Larry, I want to thank you for the information you shared here on the QuickTime Update. Larry Werner, our County Manager. I'm Lloyd Higuera for the QuickTime Update.